a 90% for a go. We look at this massive rocket, right, Steve? And it is huge. And Tom has described this to us, 32 stories tall and all that. But where these actual astronauts are going to be are only about the size of 2 minivans. And they're going to be together for 10 days. How do they do this?
Well, we've been training together for years. Believe me, you get to know your crew better probably than your own family. They've seen you at your best and they have seen you at your worst. And you can still work together and complement each other's talents.
Okay.
Al, the famous book, the famous movie, The Right Stuff, you had a chance to sit with these astronauts and talk to them. This is an incredible group and a lot of firsts too for NASA and for America.
That's right. First Canadian, first woman, first African American going to around the moon, which is going to be spectacular. But each one of them, if you bring that up, that's not the important thing. The important thing is they are going up together. They're going up to prepare for Artemis 3, and the integrity, again, to their capsule name, is their driving mission. But they also said that this is important to them because they want people to look at this as we can still do great big things. And that's so important.
Yeah, and just like President Kennedy essentially gave an instruction manual, if you will, to the country on what we could do if we put our minds to it, the Artemis mission hopes to do even more than that, right? Circle the moon, land on the moon, build a lunar colony, and then essentially one day, Tom Costello, you can explain this because this gets very complicated, and it's very far away, one day go to Mars from the moon.
Yeah, that's right. The idea here is that you cannot get to Mars with simply by coming from Earth. The breaking out of the Earth's gravitational pull is too hard. You've got to go to the moon, use a moon base, and then eventually go to Mars. But listen, this is not going to happen overnight. I mean, if you talk to anybody, any of the engineers who are in the depth of this, they will tell you this is probably decades away. And they're now talking about going to Mars using a nuclear engine. Not necessarily the rocket fuel that is currently loaded up, but a nuclear engine. That's a new generation of technology.
Shoot, it's in Florida.
So don't expect that we're talking about this happening, in the next 10 years or so. But they are talking about building this lunar base.
No questions on
making
that.
it a habitat for science.
Okay.
And
I
then
said
building
no
that
questions.
out and eventually using that to move on to Mars.
And Steve, as we wait, and I'm going to talk to our control room here, it's the 6:07 mark. Have they already asked the team yet if they are a go? I want to make sure that has happened. It was supposed to happen around this mark. It still hasn't happened. We get a rundown from NASA. They give it to us minute by minute, almost second by second. But sometimes it's a little off, right? They have to make sure everything's in place. And it might say 6 or 7 on paper, but the rundown is written in pencil.
They're called built-in holds, exactly for that. Nobody's done this before. So we think we know how long it's going to take, but there's that wiggle room. And then again, the launch window is 2 hours long.
The mission commander, the pilot, talk to us about the roles that they hold in this mission here.
The commander is the leader of the team and the person who is going to make the hard decisions if there are any to make, and there will be.
How do you get to Florida?
This mission will be full of surprises. All missions are, and especially first missions. Reed Wiseman is exactly the right person to make those big decisions, and he always brings in other people's opinions. They will work as a team under his leadership. And Vic Glover gives the What could be more in line with exactly who that man is?
It's pretty incredible. Reed Wiseman, youth sports, Tom Costello, there's a thing called the hype dad. He's the one dad who comes together and gets everyone pumped up about it. He is essentially the hype dad on this mission. When he comes out in interviews, he's just so excited. He wants to get the country excited about this.
He is, listen, I think he is a very impressive man. I mean, his resume is very impressive. He clearly has leadership capabilities. From a personal perspective, he lost his wife to cancer. He is a single father to 2 daughters, and they told the story today that when he went to them and said he'd been selected as the commander for this mission, he was worried that they may not want him to go. Instead, they said, "You gotta go." They woke up and made him moon companies, endorsing his trip to the moon.
Incredible. And then Al, Jeremy Hansen, the Canadian, the biggest inside the capsule, and he says, "I'm the only Canadian that has never been to space, so this doesn't work out."
Super well research. Please join us. There's plenty of time. 15 minutes.
Opportunity, right, to join America to go into space in this mission.
Absolutely, and they are bonded by this brotherhood, sisterhood, of everybody. And we're hearing Mission Control talking right now.
Guys, we're going to listen for a second. I want to see if they're going to ask the crew if they're ready. All right, it sounds like we're not there yet. Again, we're waiting for the moment the launch director is going to pull the team to say they are a go. Steve, sort of peel back the curtain for us. Why is that part so important? There's so much technology on this. They're constantly talking. Why do you need that verbal confirmation?
The technology, most of it is couched in software that is new. We need human brains, human intellect, and the human ability to both predict what's going to happen next, even if we've never seen it before, and then be ready for it by the time you get there. That's what humans do way better than software.
Yeah. Tom, so many of these launches we've done lately have felt like it's been private space travel, private space exploration, SpaceX, Blue Origin, and yet we're here for NASA. This is a huge moment for NASA.
It's a big moment for NASA because the SLS is essentially the next generation of Apollo, right? You went from the Saturn V into this rocket, but make no mistake about it. NASA knows they cannot get to the moon without the private sector. So now this sets up a big superpower competition, if you will, between Elon Musk, SpaceX, and Jeff Bezos with Blue Origin. NASA doesn't yet have the spaceship to get down. You compete. You guys come up with the best ship, and you better do it fast because we need you in 2 years. So they are really working hard. Here at the Kennedy Space Center, you've got the architecture, huge assembly facilities for both SpaceX and Blue Origin. Can I tell you, I'm listening right now, ground systems, and so far the launch teams are all going forward with us.
Okay, have we crossed that threshold where they've given the official go?
They're about to hold them now.
Okay, let's listen in.
A chance to review the findings, and they do not have any constraints from either a CIS or manager.
Copy all. And launch director into do you copy?
Yes, sir. I copy. That's good news.
OTC CCL 212.
OTC.
Oh,
there's primary loop isolation valve configurations complete.
Copy.
Steve, if you can, kind of walk us through, and we'll do the sort of the golf voice as we're waiting for them to hit the putt. But obviously, in this case, the stakes are so much higher.
TLS copies.
The back and forth that we're hearing now. Talk to us. We'll translate it for us.
Personnel, we got a little bit more work to do before we pick up the clock, and we're about a little over a minute from getting to T-minus 10 minutes. But we'll cancel the resume time there, and then we'll pick it up after we get through all of our work and anything else that we need to do to get through the remainder of count. So we'll continue working that to get to our 2-0 today.
I mean,
so when we get to about 15 hours from now, we'll extend that hold.
Okay, we're going to have a little bit of an extended hold. All the different checks and reconfigurations are taking a little bit longer than they had expected. But really, that would have been the shortest time. That's why these built-in holds are there. So this is absolutely normal. There's actually no problems that they've mentioned. So it just means that they're going to stretch out that hold time a little bit. So we're probably not going to launch in 10 minutes and 30 seconds. It'll be a couple minutes more.
Yeah, Tom, you've done so many of these launches. These things happen. Again, as Steve pointed out, nothing serious. It's just, again, the rundown. You get these balls, you hit them, you don't stress for viewers enough. Humans have never been on this rocket.
That's right.
The first.
That's right. And so you've got 4 lives that are depending on this to work well, and everybody in the launch facility, the launch control center, to do their job. No whatsoever. Listen, they can take any time during that. However, there are 16 minutes of windows in the launch window that they cannot launch because they've got issues. For example, it may be orbiting space junk, right? It may be tight. So even though they've got a 2-hour window, there are little blips within that 2-hour window that they can't go. So this is really down to the millisecond of planning.
Because you got
Al, before we're going to take a station break and talk to our stations, I'm feeling the wind. The wind was a little bit of a concern, but it's okay so far, right?
It's really all right. It's all good. And again, the precipitation, anything of any concern, has moved far enough west.
I don't even know what's scrubbing.
So, all in all, it's pretty good. And the other thing, to Tom's point, this is all a shakeout crew.
Yeah.
They're doing all this kind of testing.
All right, Al, thanks for that. I want to pause for a moment to let some stations join our coverage.
T-minus 10 hold, and that's a normal hold, I believe. Yep.
That's not
Welcome
good.
to our viewers just joining us. We are moments away from the historic launch of the Artemis 2 that you see right there. 4 NASA astronauts about to lift off on a journey around the moon. With more for this launch, Tom Costello joins me along with Al Roker and former astronaut Steve Robinson. Tom, get us up to speed there. I know you were just talking to your producer here, Jay Blackman.
Yeah.
We have a hold, a 10-minute hold here. That's why the countdown is not going down anymore.
Yeah, that's right. And pardon me, I've got NASA in one ear. I'm trying to monitor their conversations. This is not unusual. Stand by.
Hertz measurements correct, so we would have had to lose it for...
So a lot of this is just normal process, and they built in holds into their countdown. That's normal to run diagnostics, to double check all of the telemetry, to make sure that there's nothing that they're working that should hold them up. This is, we should make the point, unlike the space station, when they had to launch and then they have to rendezvous with the station, they're trying to hit a moving target with the station, right? Yeah. There's no moving target here, and that's why the window is wider. They've got to go into an orbit around Earth, a high out orbit, then they got to fire the rocket and head towards the moon at about Mach 33. 24,000 miles per hour. So they've got a little wiggle room here, and they just want to make sure that they don't get rushed into a scenario.
And Steve, the astronauts obviously trained for this. They know these delays are going to happen. They have to be so ready to go for this moment, but at the same time, they have to remain calm. And people say on launch day, the astronauts are the most calm out there.
I've been there. I've waited for things to happen. I've climbed back out of the seat and got back in the bus and drove back and waited another 3 weeks. I had one mission that we had 17 launch dates. So, but believe me, going to the moon requires patience and integrity. These people are, and I don't just mean the crew, I mean everybody here that we're listening to on the loops and all the people who are responsible to make this rocket. That's really what they mean by integrity, having the patience to do it correctly and safely.
Yeah, and you want to get it right because you, like you said, you got to be safe, Tom, and this has been delayed, right? I mean, the first time they came in, they thought, you're listening? Just listen in.
I think we should listen in right now.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and...
Wait, they just transported this. What?
Here's the
ready to pick up the pole.
Transported this. Oh, no, they had to do this.
You're aware of?
No, sir. Let's verify all our work is complete, and I would like one last check of our constraints list.
All right, let's see.
That's Charlie Blackwell Thompson. She's the launch director.
She's making history.
She is the first woman to hold that job.
Yeah, let's see that 400 step
Wouldn't
290 is
this be the
complete.
first one to go into space?
Okay, so OTC, you're complete with all your
Oh,
work?
my.
That's affirmed.
All right, copy that. STC?
STC is complete.
And GTC?
GTC is complete.
Okay, excellent. All right, and LPE, just want to verify we have no open constraints at this time.
No open constraints. We have a clear board, sir.
Okay, tracking the same here.
Clear board.
And launch director, with that, we are clear and ready to pick up the launch readiness pole.
It's her call now.
All right, sir. I am go for the pole.
Oh, brothers.
And for all personnel, this is the NTD conducting the Artemis 2 launch readiness check. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC.
GC is go.
STC.
STC is go.
GTC.
C's go.
MCO.
CO's go.
Safety console.
The safety console is go.
LPE.
LPE's go.
RTD.
RTD's go.
Houston flight.
Houston flight is go.
ROC.
ROC is go.
And CDR.
Crew is go.
Copy that. Thank you, Reed. And launch director NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
All right, NTD, I copy all. At this time, I'll perform my poll. Attention on the net. This is the launch director performing the final poll for launch. Verify no constraints and go for launch. EGF. Program Chief Engineer.
Artemis Chief Engineers are go.
Copy, thank you. EGF, Chief Safety Officer.
Okay.
The Artemis CSOs are go.
Copy, thank you. Range weather.
Launch weather is go.
Thank you, LWO. And Artemis MMT Chair.
MMT's go.
Thank you, John.
I don't even have that.
And Integrity Launch Director.
Good here with Charlie PLT.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor.
We are going for our families. Have a fun.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2.
Go for launch.
This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity. All right, Charlie, your Artemis 2 crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis 2. Let's go. And into the launch director.
Go ahead, launch director.
Yes, sir. You have a go to proceed with countdown.
Copy that. I'll put it in work. CDR, NTD.
Go.
Gear risers and initiate short purge per your EPROC 10.1.1, steps 8 and 9.
10.1.1, 8 and 9 going to work.
Copy. CBSE, NTD.
2 minutes.
Start and verify recordings of our Orion cameras.
Copy and work.
Thank you. RSR, NTD.
RSR.
All right, perform the booster ignition, SNA arm rotation, enable at this time, please.
RSR in work.
So we witnessed quite a moment there, Steve. I want you to kind of walk us through what we've been hearing. It just speaks to the dozens of teams that are working on this. Everyone has to say it's a go. Everything was clear. Right before they started, you said, wow, because they said the board was cleared. What did that mean?
There are no launch commit criteria that they're working, or that it's all clear. So there no problems that would keep us from launching is what they said. And couldn't you hear a little bit of the excitement and emotion in each of those voices as they went through the leaders of this whole pyramid?
When we heard inside of Integrity, which is the name of the capsule, it was interesting. It was the Canadian astronaut who I think said it best out. He said, we're doing this for humanity, and we all kind of said, wow.
It really literally sent shivers, I think, down everybody's spine, goosebumps, because that, in the end of the day, is what, because to your point, Tom, you mentioned it's taken hundreds of thousands of people all around the world who have put their hands, literally, on that SLS.
Charlie Blackwell Thompson, Tom, she knows the magnitude of this moment. We heard it in her voice, and she had some inspiring words for that crew before they lift off.
I've talked to her several times, and she said that she, as a little girl, watched Apollo landing on the moon. They rolled that black and white TV into her classroom, and that was the moment that she went home and told her family, I want to do that someday. And she was a little girl. And the reaction was, okay, sweetie, that may not be a job for you. She's been determined since she was a little girl, and she's running the show right now.
About to make history. Steve, talk to our viewers. Explain the countdown again. Still hasn't started yet. We're still in that 10-minute mark. What's going on right now?
They're kind of shifting over to getting the rocket actually ready to go. So there's
arming, pressurizing, doing the whole checklist.
Exactly. Inside the cockpit now, you heard the visors down. So the helmets come down. They do an air purge with pure oxygen.
Let's go.
You really get a sense, talking to so many people, that this is a slice of humanity that cuts through generations. We met people who have never seen this before, who have hoped for this day for their entire lives, and others, the family they came with, who remember the golden days of Apollo, and this brings them right back to that full circle moment. You really feel standing here in anticipation that we are about to witness history, and all these people are in good spirits as we await the final seconds, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good point, Ryan. Thank you. I want to bring in Gadi Schwartz now. Gadi was so instrumental in explaining one of the concerns they had earlier today, maybe a couple of hours ago, when there was something. Oh, there's a big moment now. It looks like the countdown clock is about to resume. I'm being told by our control room, and there it is. We're less than 10 minutes away from taking off. You can hear cheers all around the Kennedy Space Center. This is incredible. Gadi, I do want to go back to you because they're about to do something very important, which is arm the flight termination system. And earlier in the day, that had caused a little bit of problems. Explain to our viewers exactly what that is and why that's so important. Again, no problems as of late.
Yeah, it's so important, and yet something that we will not be needing here. So I've got my little model here. This is the SLS, right? And so the flight termination system, basically, not only are we putting humans on the top of this 30-some story rocket and then having a controlled explosion on the bottom, there are also strategically placed bombs throughout this rocket ship that basically are there just in case things go wrong, and the capsule has to eject. It's pulled off by this system up at the top, and the astronauts would be safely pulled away, and then the parachutes would deploy. And then this thing would need to blow up in the sky to basically come down in small enough pieces so that no one here on Earth gets hurt. But that's just some of those systems that you don't even think about when you see that majestic stack sitting there on the launch pad ready to go. But Tom, I just got to say, I mean, we got 8 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. Up until now, so many of us have gone outside and we've looked up at the moon, that moon that we all share here on Earth, and we've thought in awe, wow, humans have gone up there. And then we think, wait, why have we not gone back there? Like, what's going on? Today, that may end. Today, when we look up at the moon, we may see that beautiful shape and think, we are going there. And that might change forever. This might be a thing. This might be a defining moment for humanity. Establishing an ongoing presence on the moon opens up the solar system for us, and it's just incredible to see. We've got 7 minutes, 53 seconds to go.
Gadi, I'm going to Gadi, you're putting it so poetically, but I'm going to interrupt you for a second. We're moving the arm now, as you can see, one of the first major steps here, as we're so close. If your kids are outside, if you're trying to tell them they have to go take a bath, now is not the time. 6:35 is the new time we have for liftoff. It's going to happen, as you see in that countdown, in less than 8 minutes, 7 minutes and about 30 seconds right now. You're going to witness history in this country. It's going to be quite the moment, and Gadi was making that point as well. And Tom, so many are going to be watching our coverage, and they're going to be asking, why has it taken more than 50 years after we put an American on the moon?
Well, there are a lot of reasons to that. I mean, the short answer is America decided we'd spend enough. We went there, been there, done that, and then we wanted to spend money on domestic programs. And then, oh, by the way, why don't we build out the shuttle program and really try to own low Earth orbit and do science in low Earth orbit? But as we've said, this is the biggest, most powerful rocket NASA has ever built. And when you see this thing light, let me give you the stats here, because this is awe-inspiring. Yeah. It will be 8.8 million pounds of thrust when this thing goes up, 3.5 million pounds of thrust in each of the booster rockets there, and these core engines are equipped with, they've been upgraded to produce 418,000 pounds of thrust. What does that mean? It means it's going to send it at 17,000 miles per hour into a very high orbit around the Earth. They'll spend a day there, and then they really light the fire, and they kick into Mach 33, 24,000 miles, headed all the way to the moon.
And Al, I think in about 6 days from now, if I'm correct, I think it's April 6th, maybe 5 days from now, they're going to look out their window, and they're going to see the moon. It's going to be the size of a basketball.
I know. And it's kind of, it's really mind-boggling when you think about it. And the fact that they are going to be the first humans to put eyes on certain parts of the dark side of that moon. All this money being spent. Well, the fact of the matter is, our lives right now, technologically, are due to advances that were made during the space program. From GPS to the way the materials that power our cars, all those things. And who knows what we're going to develop at the technology as Artemis continues to move further.
I think even to the device that has fed so many journalists, the microwave, as well. Just those
weather satellites.
And the weather satellites. Thank you.
Tang. Steve, as we close in on 5 minutes here, there are a couple key things that are still needing to happen, right? Where they have to burn off the hydrogen igniters. I mean, still some major sort of technical issues. This is very important these next 5 minutes.
Well, one thing they're doing right now is pressurizing the core stage tanks, and that means is the fuel will be able to actually flow to the rocket engines. That's essential. But you're also looking for leaks. You're looking for temperature excursions. The turbo pumps that press the propellants, you've got a fuel and an oxidizer into the engines, have to work perfectly.
And then, Tom, I want you to walk us through what we're going to see right at liftoff. We know it's going to be incredible when it lifts off the ground.
Yeah.
From there, at some point, those two massive rockets, right, attached to it, the SLS, are going to break off.
That's right. The boosters separate at 2 minutes and 8 seconds into the rocket lifting off. A key phrase to listen for to the viewers out there, it's called max Q. That means the maximum dynamic pressure on this rocket structure. That's at about 1 minute and 10 seconds into flight. Then again, at about 2:08, the rocket boosters separate out, and then at about 8 minutes and 6 seconds, the core stage and the main engine cutoff occurs. That's a critical moment. I always keep holding my breath until we actually have that core stage, main engine cutoff, because that's when you know that they should be safe in space.
From the rundown that we have here, right, the RS-25 engine startup.
Yeah.
That right there, Steve, what is that going to feel like? What's that going to sound like? Will the astronauts themselves know we're ready to take off in a few minutes?
Those
few
four
seconds, I should
RS,
say.
yeah, yes, if those RS-425s will start about 6 seconds before you leave the ground, and you can feel that rumble come right up through the rocket. Now, you're covered with so much stuff, you don't hear it quite so much, but you definitely feel it. And when the solid rocket boosters light, you are flung off the ground. It's not soft.
Steve, I want you to listen for a second and tell us what we're hearing here.
Helium purge, Steve, just occurred.
Okay. So helium is used to push some of the propellant into the plumbing.
GLS is go for purge sequence.
And so that's a normal.
At what point does if you're a person of faith and you're an astronaut, at what point does the praying start? Is it right before liftoff, or I know this team has been praying for 3 years together.
It's when you tell your family that you're going to fly in space.
From that moment on.
That's when everything gets serious. Let me be clear about something. These people are not worried. These people are not anxious. They're not stressed. They dealt with the magnitude of this event and the risk that goes with it long ago. And so right now they're focused on the mission. They're glad to be there. It is their life dream coming true. It would be anybody's in this business.
But you mentioned the families, though, Steve, and that should not get lost. I'm looking over at the NASA building. I see friends and family right now looking for these families to be holding.
I think Christina
on the families. So if you want to look for heroes in this business, don't look to the astronauts. Look at their families. Those are the heroes.
Jeremy Hansen had a very adult conversation with his teenagers about the very distinct possibility he wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
That they had to go on without him. Obviously, everybody has done everything they can to ensure that they do come back, but they've had to have those conversations with family members, including their teenage kids.
We're about 90 seconds from launch. We're gonna give over the airwaves, if you will, voluntarily to NASA, because we want to listen as soon as they start speaking again. Right now, let's listen in.
It's really good news.
One minute.
GLS is go for ALS.
$25. 20. 15. 10.
GLS is go for core stage engine start.
Integrity, good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch. Integrity, AMT high. Integrity through Max Q on Ponce de Leon.
Stan, we have you loud and clear on Ponce de Leon.
Have you the same?
I wish like I was there. 165 people own the badge. Somebody said Artimus didn't explode like a firework.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
Copy all, Stan.
I'm gonna be right
If you
now,
are joining our special coverage right now of NBC News of the Artemis 2 launch, you have just witnessed history with all of us and all of America that is watching. Guys, what an incredible moment. At first, you see that ball of fire. Yes. It takes a second, then you hear it, and then lift off. Feel it. And you feel it. And guys, a reason to look up right now, just a reason to look up, and cheers from everyone here at the Kennedy Space Center. And incredible, but something very important just happened. We saw the two rockets, right? They detached, Tom, and we're waiting on another critical moment in just a few minutes.
That's right, so keep your eyes on that clock right now. I'm looking over my shoulder with 3:13 into flight. We're gonna wait for 8:06. That's gonna be when the core stage, we have main engine cutoff. And as I said earlier, I always hold my breath until we have that, but they are off to a great start. While we are cheering here on the ground, and literally the building is shaking. In typical NASA speak, they're understated. All systems nominal. That means it's all great.
Yeah, business as usual. The skies over Florida, the skies then over Georgia and beyond. Seeing Artemis and this Integrity capsule enter space. Steve, at this point right now, what are the astronauts doing inside the capsule? Holding on?
You expect me to have words right now?
You've been to space. You've been to space.
And that's why.
And it still gets you.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah. Anybody who's been to space would find that to be just a beautiful example of human audaciousness. So the crew is enjoying themselves right now. They're watching their systems. They're feeling the pressure. It's very rough on the solid rocket boosters until they come off, and now it's a smooth, accelerating ride.
Al, it was incredible, right? Clear blue skies, and you could just see it.
Yeah, I mean,
lift off from Earth and just shake us.
But the flame, it's one of those things that television, no matter what you watch, and our crews are terrific and the technology, but to see that flame in person, it's brighter than anything I've ever looked at with my naked eye.
Yeah. Tom, you had seen obviously this takeoff before. This is the first time with humans, though. Can you tell just from your human eye the power of it? I mean, did it look different? Does it sound any different?
I would say it feels different. Yeah. You know, because the Saturn V rocket, I wasn't here for that, but that's actually taller, but this is more powerful. Yeah. And it shook the building here. Good comms, that's critical. They reported all good comms. You don't want to be going up into space with bad comms. Yeah. The other important note here is that Reed Weissman told Houston it was a great view.
Oh, you love to hear that. And speaking of views, Tom, what are we looking at right now? Do we know some of these angles that NASA's providing here? What is this here? Is this the back of the SLS? Do we know?
So we are going to be getting multiple camera views. They're taking a page from SpaceX, which puts a camera on everything. Right. So NASA is now putting a camera on everything, and we are going to get the views, and I can't quite tell what that is, but we're going to be getting views from literally watching main engine cutoff. Again, that's going to happen at, where are we at, 5:36. We got 4 good engines right now. At 8:06 N, we'll have main engine cutoff, and then you will eventually, we expect, see the separation. Eventually, that's going to be the next main issue that we watch for very closely. Core stage separation at about 8:18.
So we're about 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes, Steve, from that. How complicated is that process? Because I don't want to say that's the whole thing caboodle here, because we just saw an incredible thing happen, but it's so critical.
It is very critical. It's so critical that they've made it as simple as possible to have as few failure modes as you could have.
The other interesting point here, Tom, is that they're not physically doing anything other than just sitting back and watching. This is all automated, controlled from the ground. They have a joystick or a command stick, if you will. They can talk about the thrust and the roll, but for the most part, they don't need to. This is all automated.
And this is a nominal shutdown. Just we have right now showing our viewers here a visualization of what was going on there. And I'm going to ask the control room. That's the visualization of what the separation would look like. I think this is inside NASA as well.
You're looking out of the launch control room right there.
As they were looking right a little bit after takeoff, and actually this might be right now. We're seeing the kind of the same image over our heads as well. As we wait for this critical moment in about less than 2 minutes, which is the separation. And from that moment, Tom, that's when sort of the real business, again, what we just saw was incredible, but the real business into space starts, and the journey around the Earth, because it's not directly to the moon, it's around the Earth and then around the moon.
That's right. And so they're going to spend, as I said, 24 hours in a high apogee, if you will, a high orbit around the Earth. Essentially, they want to create a huge elliptical loop, if I'm using the right term. Steve is going to correct me. That's going to put them in a huge loop around the moon. And then that allows them to go further.
Integrity, AOA open.
It allows them to go farther than any humans ever. So this is all about configuring for that move, and so far so good. So again, 8:06, we're going to see the core stage separate from the engine, and then we'll watch as Orion, once it's in orbit, they're going to deploy their solar arrays. That gives them power that they need.
And then, Tom, the rockets, as they break off, they fall into the Atlantic.
Yep.
We know. Oh, yeah, we fall into the Atlantic. Yep. And then this other piece, the other piece that just is going to separate now. Yeah. That also falls straight into the Atlantic. Okay.
In some ways, this is harkening back to the old days of Apollo, right? So, you know, SpaceX reuses some of their pieces.
Which is incredible technology, and it sort of was a game changer. Yeah.
Amazing. But that's not what this is about. They're going to be dropping, they have dropped their SRBs, and then they're going to be also eventually dropping that course.
And it's right here. If we can watch this live right here.
Here we go.
Walk us through what's happening. Actually, let's listen in.
Separated.
Nominal main engine cutoff, so the 4Rs-25s have done their job. Now we've got stage separation from the core. That looks smooth as can be, just beautiful. And how wonderful to actually see that on video.
Yeah, and
in
again,
real time.
Since we're outside the NASA building, we hear the cheers about a second before we actually see them. They're a little bit ahead of us, but again, cheers for what we just witnessed there. It was a very quick shot, but you could see, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Steve, is it the capsule that is coming off, or what exactly is coming out?
It's the capsule and the service module.
Okay.
And leaving the core stage, the big that had all the fuel tanks in it.
And then part of the reason to circle the Earth before they had on their way to the moon is to make sure that the capsule is working, that everything is, that they can navigate, that they can drive this, that everything is working in perfect order.
Yeah, it's like going camping in your backyard before you go to Everest.
Just making sure everything works there. Tom, NASA's providing these visualizations, which this is not obviously what's happening right now, but these are ideas of what's happening, so we can sort of understand this is what it's going to look like right now.
Yeah, listen, I think that we are watching the latest cutting-edge technology at play. I mean, this is truly America at the cutting edge here, and I think it's important and relevant to take a moment and say, wow, we should be collectively, not as Americans, not as North Americans, but just as humans, proud of the achievement here. The humans have been able to do this, and we're about to go even further than ever before. It's exactly what they'd hoped for, setting the stage to eventually put humans on the moon.
And Al, in your interviews, I know when you spoke to the crew, they thought their ultimate goal was that this would be a moment of unity for the world.
Exactly, because and they said that over and over. Yeah. This is not about them. This is about what we can do, how we can stretch those outer limits, what we can discover as we get ready to make that landing on the moon.
And they're so humble. I think in one of the interviews that you or Tom did, they said they would be happy if the next interview is with the next Artemis crew, and they want this just to keep going.
They almost want to be forgotten. They want to make their mark, get the job done, and then they want the spotlight on the next crew because they're going to go even further. You know, do you remember Apollo 10?
Yeah.
Most of us don't. We remember Apollo 11, right? Yeah. But Apollo 10 set the stage for Apollo 11.
Ryan Chandler is with space fans out there witnessing this moment in history. Ryan, what was it like to watch from your vantage point there on the beach?
And for PWD setup, just a reminder, halfway open on the secondary.
Can you hear Ryan?
Well, Ryan is speechless.
No, I can't hear program
right now. Ryan, I don't know if Ryan can hear us.
It's 4601.
The astronauts can hear
I think
NASA,
they're dialing me.
We're still okay. We're gonna try to get Ryan. It's live TV, folks, and they're dialing back. We need a launch commander, I think, but we're good to go.
But you know, I think the other thing that's interesting, Tom, is that they are testing new things, including a brand new toilet. Which is very important. You know,
and I heard it's very cramped, from what I understand.
But you know, the toilet. Everybody kind of jokes at that. But you know, would you want to go to the moon without a working toilet? It's a brand new technology. They want to make sure that works. They got a new water system they want to work. Brand new telemetry, brand new comms, a brand new deep space comms network. So there's an awful lot to test drive here before they send humans to the surface.
Jeremy Hansen, the Canadian who's on board this mission, said it's his first time in space. He hopes not to annoy his fellow astronauts because he's never really floated before. And he says, I'm sure he's so big it's going to get kind of annoying at first, but they'll get used to it. How hard is it once you're there and you're weightless?
Oh, you're very annoying. Oh, yeah. I bumped into everybody. But I have a special note of pride about Jeremy because I come from a Canadian family too. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, and if you can, I mean, what is it like this moment like for Canada?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? There have been very few Canadian astronauts. Every one of them is super special. I've known most of them. And Jeremy's an amazing guy. And can you imagine this being your first mission ever? Wow. Just what a wonderful guy, and he's representing an entire country. That section of humanity is very, very proud of him, and I am too.
And timing is everything in life, and what a great time for Canada and the U.S. to come together in a mission like this, and at a moment like this when the world is watching. I think we do have Ryan Chandler now. Systems are a go, from what I understand. Ryan, talk to us about what the space watchers out there are saying.
Tom, that was one of the most incredible things that I've ever seen, but the most interesting thing to me was not even looking at the rocket. It was looking this way at people's faces and seeing that raw reaction. So many people here, this is the first time they'd ever seen that in their life. It's seeing the mom embrace her kid and say, look, anything is possible. It's people looking up and realizing what this means, not just for the United States, but for the world and for humanity. Tom, if I may, I know we have a great team of experts that we've been talking to all day. I found one of my own on the ground here. This is Mr. Adrian. Thanks for helping us out. What did you think when you looked up to the stars and saw that launch today?
It was so incredible. This is like my first time seeing this, waiting for such a long time.
And you know a lot about this mission. What does this mean? What were you looking for when this launch happened?
Like, something really important is it's so brave of the astronauts that wanted to go there. Like, they never denied it. They just went like this, and they just said, we just go.
And you want to be one of them one day.
Let's go.
All right, we'll see you on Mars. Adrian, thank you so much, sir. Tom, I mean, that really makes the day.
Go, Ryan.
Yeah,
Tom.
yeah, little Adrian there, and so many little Adrians all around this country will never forget this moment. Tom, you were just sending me a note here. You're getting text messages from friends in Canada as well who are watching this and just in awe.
And they're watching. I told them, watch NBC News. Don't watch the Canadian Broadcasting Company. So to Joe, my good friend, to Jacinta, my good friend, to others, they have been watching, and they are so proud of this moment. So proud to see Canada step forward. But in typical Canada nice fashion, Jeremy is the most unassuming, nice, easygoing guy, and they're proud of that, that he represents the best of them.
You know, it's incredible because at this time we have multiple wars that are happening across the world right now. We hope this is a moment that the world can get around. That's what the astronauts wanted. You wonder if something like this, and obviously we're in the moment right now, we'll see what happens tomorrow, and we live in a different era than the 60s and 70s, as you guys know. But the big question is, can the world and can the U.S. get around this moonshot? And will it motivate and maybe lead to more space travel and maybe more investments into space?
Well, I think what's going to, the thing about when Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, I was 15. I was watching with my family around a Sears Roebuck television, and it brought everybody together, and it ignited a can-do spirit that we can do these things. And I think with this crew, from whether you're a Canadian, whether you're a person of color, whether you're a woman, whether you're anybody, you see some of yourself in this group, and that's going to spur that interest, that desire to move forward.
Yeah, Tom, as we watch and all of the moments that happened earlier when this thing took off, Artemis 2 was so incredible. An important moment's going to happen in about 3 hours, right? 3 hours from now, we have sort of a critical point in this entire mission when all eyes will be on what happens, and Orion, the capsule, something happens there. Explain to our viewers.
The Orion separates, and then it is truly on its own. And that's the point where we start seeing the proximity operations demonstrating their capability in that spaceship. This is the most advanced, well, one of the most advanced spaceships ever built, right? I don't want to speak for what SpaceX has got going. They've had an incredibly successful pattern already. But you're talking about the most advanced spaceship that has never had humans in it before. It had a great, successful, unmanned, uncrewed mission, test flight. But just to be clear, that return was a problem. You may recall.
And the 5,000 degrees.
That's right.
It was a heat shield issue.
Yeah, they had more burning and charring on the heat shield on reentry than they're comfortable with. That really caused them to go back and do a big, in places, redesign and really question whether this is the right design for this ship. And everybody is still very much holding their breath and hoping and praying that heat shield holds on reentry. And for the most part, NASA is absolutely confident that it will. Now, there's some high-profile previous astronauts who are concerned about it. They've raised that concern. We've had that on NBC Nightly News. But the majority of the engineers at NASA and the NASA leaderships believe that it will be safe and the crew will be safe on reentry.
All right, Steve, as we wait for that moment 3 hours from now, talk to us about inside the Orion capsule right now. Are the astronauts talking amongst themselves? Are they talking back to mission control? What's happening?
They're busy. They're really busy. They're a brand new thing. They're looking at all the systems, make sure is that pressure right? Is that temperature right? Do we expect that valve to open? Then make our preparations for the separation from the ICPS and actually drive the Orion with the European service module around, flip it around, and actually do simulated dockings. Only a few hours after launch. That's an amazing thing to ask the crew to do, and I know they're excited.
And I know on this first day and this first night, they have to stay up for a long time, right? They almost, I think, at some point have to take a quick nap just to stay up longer because of what's happening and the importance of everything. Everyone has to be alert and awake.
How could you sleep?
How could you?
After that. So, but I think they'll be pretty fatigued, and if things have gone so well, they'll actually be able to sleep okay.
Yeah, we saw a quick shot of inside NASA, and it we have to talk about those teams there because you talk about the astronauts and their families and their friends, but I mean those teams from NASA as well working on this to every aspect, from the arithmetic to the building to everything to thinking about what's the next goal.
I worked in mission control for about 15 years, and worked with lots and lots of missions, both ISS and lots of shuttle missions. And I saw how dedicated and smart these people are. But it's not just the individual people, it's the way they're linked together into kind of a super brain. And that's what's happening in mission control.
It looks like we're close to or either getting to the point where the Orion solar arrays deploy. Steve, what exactly does that mean in layman's terms?
Well, we know what solar panels do, right? And that's exactly what's essential for this this vehicle. So the capsule is that little gumdrop thing, and then there's a cylinder below it, and that cylinder is the service module. It provides power and also water and oxygen, nitrogen for the capsule itself. And that power is going to come from the sun, so we need those solar arrays.
So an important and a critical part of what's happening right now, the solar arrays deploying, and we think, Tom, we think that's just happened or it's about to happen.
Right this very minute. Let's listen open.
Yep, let's listen in.
Give us just 1 minute. And Stan, you can read it. Ike is ready to copy.
Roger. TDRS handover east to west expected 1 second earlier at 5:1 minutes 26 seconds.
Okay, bottom line is we're at that point right now when the solar arrays are deploying, assuming that that goes as planned, nominally, as NASA likes to say.
All right, Stan, we copy 1 second earlier for 5126 TDRS east to west, and
we will then be waiting. The next big marker on this is going to be at 49 minutes into the mission.
Yeah.
We concur.
40. Sorry, I've got trying to listen to them and at the same time. 49 minutes into the mission, then that is when we will see Orion in a safe orbit.
But so far, Tom, just to put a point on this, so far everything has been great. It's been good. Systems are a go. We've witnessed a historic launch.
Couldn't ask for a better day, better mission. It's been perfect.
All right, Tom, we thank you. That's going to conclude this NBC News special report for the launch of the Artemis 2 mission. We'll have much more coverage ahead on our streaming network, NBC News Now, and online at NBCNews.com. I'm Tom Yamas from the Kennedy Space Center. We thank you so much for watching.
AMT high.
On time, as ordered.
And we are continuing our breaking news coverage of the Artemis 2 launch right here on NBC News Now. I'm Gotti Schwartz. Right now, we are just minutes into that historic launch with 4 astronauts lifting off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida just moments ago in the most powerful rocket NASA has ever launched, the most powerful rocket humans have ever climbed on top of and ridden into the stars. The Artemis crew is going to spend 10 days in space where they're going to get to lay their eyes on parts of the moon's far side that humanity has never seen before. It is the first time that NASA has sent humans this deep into space since 1972, almost 250,000 miles away. And this mission is setting the stage for NASA's return to the moon, that history-defining goal now slated for 2028. NASA's cameras have been capturing so many angles of this mission, including inside the capsule, and yet right now we are waiting for some of those feeds to reestablish connection. Let's listen into Mission Control for the latest here.
Integrity, thank you. We see the same.
And what you're seeing right now, this is an animation. This is a visualization of what the capsule looks like. We are awaiting the moment in which solar panels are deployed alongside that capsule that will help it in its journey to the moon. But again, we're not seeing the video. We're not seeing live video images just yet. We saw some during the launch. We're hoping for that video to be reestablished with Mission Control there. But I want to bring in NBC News correspondent Aaron Gilchrist, who is at the Kennedy Space Center. Aaron, you are so lucky, and I am so jealous of your vantage point here. You got to tell me, how did the launch go there?
It was the most spectacular sensory overload that I think I've ever experienced, Gotti. It was just amazing to witness this moment in history. And I'll tell you, so we have a little building here at Kennedy Space Center, right? We are right across the street from the vehicle assembly building, so about 4 miles away from the launch pad, where we were able to see from the rooftop here the rocket launch. And so, like, you see the fire start to build underneath the rocket before you start to see that smoke, and then the launch, and then our whole building started shaking. You could feel on the roof as that shaking was happening, and then just to watch this rocket from a distance, it seems, you know, almost slow, although we know it's not. It's moving at thousands of miles an hour into the sky and then into orbit, and it really was just a spectacular sight to see, and knowing that this is like the wow moment, right? This is the thing that people watch because it is such an incredible thought to have this rocket sort of explode in the way that one would in this moment of getting into the sky, and then to know what's ahead of us, right? We've got 10 days on this mission where you have these 4 incredible human beings who are going to travel farther away from the Earth than anyone has before to do a test flight, but to also run these experiments and to see the moon from the far side with their own eyes, which no other human being has done. And so it's spectacular in that sense. We did pull out it's a Lego model that one of our technical managers here built of the rocket, just to kind of give you an idea of what's happened so far, right? You understand that these rocket boosters separated very early on, and then we saw the core stage, this orange part, separate as well. And so now what's in space is just the top part of this here. The abort system is already sort of come off and separated as well. So you just have the crew that's inside the crew capsule here, Orion, as we've been calling it. And we know that we were expecting the solar arrays to deploy. They're going to be important, obviously, to this mission. They're just like the solar panels that you would have on the roof of your house. They're collecting energy, power for this capsule to continue its mission around the moon. It's going to be a little while before we get to that point, right? We know they're going to orbit the Earth a few times here before, and they want to check out all the systems. They want to check out their spacesuits, that sort of thing,
sorry to interrupt
before
there,
they start that 3-day trip to the moon.
Yeah, Aaron, let's listen in real quick, because I think we're getting an update from NASA here.
There's also a discussion with Capcom Stan Love and Commander Reed Wiseman about the alignment of the MET clocks on the Orion spacecraft and the ICPS. Commander Reed Wiseman confirmed the clocks are in sync, no issues. They're going to investigate it on the ground. We're proceeding with today's mission. 26 minutes of mission elapsed time and counting.
And as we understand it right now, those solar arrays are being deployed or in the process of being deployed right now. I do want to bring in Colonel Ron Garan. He's a former NASA astronaut, retired Air Force colonel. He knows a little something about getting on top of this explosion, pushing 8 million pounds of thrust or something along those lines, and then riding off into the heavens. Put us inside of one of those capsules. I know that you've gone up on space shuttles, you've gone up on Soyuz. Like, what is it like sitting on that much thrust, heading up into space?
Well, as you can imagine, it's thrilling. I know, Steve, you had him on a little while ago, and he was explaining, and it's just exhilarating to feel. Because I remember the first time I launched into space, you feel the acceleration, you feel the force in your chest. And I'm a fighter pilot, and so I've felt that acceleration before, but it had never lasted that long. So somewhere in the back of your mind, you realize we are going really, really fast, and they are.
Really, really fast and really, really far, too. And once you settle in, I mean, at what point do you get used to, I guess, you know, Earth's atmosphere, you're pulling 4 or 5 Gs, maybe more going up, but at what point do you start to feel weightless? And then at what point do things get normal? Do they get normal at all? Because they've got 10 days ahead here.
Yeah, well, the weightless comes instantly. So when the main engine shut off, and it happened at 8:06, I think, on this launch, you go from feeling like an elephant and sitting on your chest, you're being pushed back into your seat from the force of acceleration, to being weightless instantly, and that is an incredible feeling, and it's an incredible feeling of relief because you know you've made it and you're in space now, and so that's exhilarating.
And Colonel, if I may, let's pull up the because I'm trying to listen with both ears here, but let's pull up the NASA feed, and you'll listen with me. I think you'll be able to hear it too.
We did hear confirmation that the perigee raise maneuver time of ignition has been confirmed per the pad, which means it was the predicted time prior to liftoff.
Integrity for GNC, we're taking channel 1 to unfiltered and to BFS.
And so we're hearing the communication back and forth right now with Mission Control. You know, a lot of people, it's the 21st century here. A lot of people are going to be watching this and they're going to be like, wait a minute, animation, no, I signed up for like a full HD, like I want to see all of the images and give me the full feed. And yet the truth of the matter is space is very hard. What are we seeing here right now? And is everything going according to plan?
Yeah, I believe, as far as I can tell, everything's going according to plan. It seems like there was some timing mismatch between the upper stage, the ICPS, and the Orion capsule. It didn't seem like that was causing too much concern, but there's a big maneuver coming up to raise the perigee. The perigee is the part of the orbit that's the closest to the Earth. And so when they get to the apogee, which is the farthest away from the Earth, they're going to do a maneuver to raise that perigee to put them in minutes. That's what's coming up here in about
time of ignition of the perigee raise maneuver.
In about 20 minutes. And that apogee, I mean, that is really what sets the table for the slingshot, right?
Wings.
Exactly. Exactly. So you raise the perigee at the apogee. I know it's a little counterintuitive, but that's what they're doing, or about to do.
And when it comes to the physics of what they are trying to do, I mean, this is something that we've done, obviously, with Artemis 1. We've never done it with humans on board. But what do those speeds feel like? Is it just peaceful as you can imagine up in space, or do you feel the maneuvering of the craft?
You feel the maneuvering, you feel the burns. When we fire the engines, you feel that as just a gentle force. It's not the force of launch that I described before. It's just a gentle force. But the speed you don't feel at all because there's no wind resistance. There's nothing to compare it to. But you notice that you're moving away from the Earth pretty fast. You know, visually, you could see that speed.
And what are the chances that anybody's going to get sleep anytime soon? I mean, they're heading into tonight, or I guess daytime permanently, right?
Well, they have a very, very busy day ahead of them. They've already had a long day, but there's a lot they have to do. And then they have a huge burn tomorrow, which is going to set them on their course to the moon. So they have to be ready for that. But I think they're going to have to find some time, time to catnap or whatever to just get some rest. But they're going to be very busy, and they are.
Hopefully they get some shut-eye. You know, I do have to ask this because my mind almost blew, and I know that you're probably of the same mind, but I have heard over the last couple of days people being like, yeah, but why go to the moon? Like, why are we going up there? I've got my reasons and obviously go on a diatribe, but does anybody say that around you? Have you heard that, and what is your response?
Well, no, I hear that, of course, and the answer is there's a tremendous benefit for all of humanity for us to extend human presence to the moon permanently, to have a permanent human presence on the moon, and that's the plan. You know, Apollo was to explore the moon and to set that precedent, but this mission is the first step of many steps that will lead to a permanent human presence on the moon, an extension of human existence beyond the Earth, to basically make the moon the Earth's 8th continent. There's resources there. There's many, many benefits to the Earth by doing that. But I think one of the biggest things is, and you've heard this over and over about this mission, is the unity that it shows. You know, this is the first time we've been to the moon in 54 years. And when we went the first time, it was a unifying event. All of humanity came together to witness this amazing accomplishment, and we're doing it all over again. And hopefully we have that same effect again.
Yeah, I really hope so. The Earth's 8th continent, that is so wonderfully put. And yet, as I understand it, I mean, you know, there are geopolitics here on Earth, unfortunately, with us humans who don't know exactly how to see eye to eye yet. But one of the things that's being talked about, obviously, is this lunar base that we are planning on putting on the south pole of the moon, where we will hopefully be able to tap into the, I think we've got some video here. It looks like we've got some video from moments ago, and there is our beautiful planet down below. I think this was from launch. I may be mistaken here, but you know, back to the lunar bases. It's the United States has plans for a lunar base, as well as China, and as well as Russia in cooperation with China, and they'll all be maybe sharing the same general vicinity there on the bottom of the moon. How do you see all of that playing out over the next 10 to 15 years?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to it. I have a hopeful view. I mean, I hope that we have many different nations going to the moon and all cooperating for the benefit of all humanity. But as you've said, there, you know, geopolitics, you know, exist in space as well. Whatever geopolitics we have on the Earth, we launch that into space with us. So it's not like we can escape that. But I think the more nations, the more people, the more organizations that see that bigger picture, that see the vantage point that space provides us, the better off that we're all going to be. So I hope it leads to an era of cooperation. And again, what motivates us as humans is awe and wonder, and the awe and wonder is something that can bring us together and to unify us.
Yeah, awe and wonder, and hopefully some cooperation on, as you put it, the 8th continent. Colonel Guerin, thank you so very much for joining us on such a historic day. I do want to go out to NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler, who's been out on Cape Canaveral. He's been with the crowds gathered to watch, making all kinds of friends on this historic launch day. Ryan, what are you hearing out there?
You know, one, Gotti, that was one of the most incredible things I've seen. There's one cloud in the sky right now, but it's not a cloud at all. It's the exhaust from the launch. Just an incredible sight. But I think what's going to stick with me permanently, Gotti, is not looking this way. Yes, you see the fireball, you hear the incredible sound. That was cool. But what really meant a lot was looking this way and seeing the raw reaction, the jaws drop on the kids' faces. Met so many people today who you know, left school for this and said, I want to be an astronaut someday. To see how they reacted to this, to talk with the 88-year-olds, conversely, and hear how they remember so fondly the golden era of the Apollo mission and how they feel a sense that we're back to that golden age of space exploration. To hear what it means to them. That's what's going to stick with me. It was a really interesting group of people here because they all came here with a purpose, they all had a passion, and this meant a whole lot to the thousands and thousands of people that took the time to show up and see this in person, Gotti.
Yeah, there's been so much talk about the Apollo generation, and now we've got the Artemis generation, and there is an overlap here. Those that were alive to see Apollo now seeing Artemis. It seems like this is the space generation, right?
Right, and I mean, when you think about it like that, you have to be at least in your 60s to remember anything meaningful from the Apollo days, right? I met a family, it was 3 generations of people who all came together. There was the granddaughter and mom, neither of whom had seen a space launch ever because it had been so long, right? More than 50 years since the last time we went to the moon in lunar orbit like that. And then they were sitting with people in their 80s who were telling them stories from the good old days of lunar exploration, right? So it really feels like this connects people not just across countries and states, but across generations in pursuit of this one mission, which has lasted the test of time. Gotti.
Wow. And now, I mean, I see the RVs behind you. Now what happens? Now they wait for the sun to go down and then just stare up into the sky and wonder?
These people have been partying all day. I'm sure that's going to continue into the night. But just as quickly as they got here, it is emptying out very quickly. I mean, it was before 7 a.m., before the gates opened, when there was a line of cars a half-mile long to get in here. Thousands and thousands of people showing up, not a parking spot free in the entire place for these RVs. And now, as soon as the rocket went out of view, they left, and I don't know, maybe they're onto the beach now.
Yeah, you gotta beat traffic on the way out, I guess. I do want to ask. I mean, I was sitting here in the studio. I have never actually seen a rocket take off in real life. What did it sound like?
Gotti, if I had to guess anybody at NBC News who had seen at least one launch, it would have been you.
I know.
You got to get out here. I feel so incredibly lucky to be here. It sounded like this rumble of thunder. What really stuck out to me is the immense gap of time between when you see the rocket take off and when you hear it. It was a lot longer than I thought. I was actually taken by surprise when it first started lifting off the ground and you look out and you see a fireball. You can't see the rocket from here. We're about 12, 13 miles away. But once that fireball starts, you see it, and it's like looking at a welder's torch. Even from that far away, it was so bright, and it felt like a minute passed before you heard anything, and then you feel the rumble, and just within a minute or so, it was out of sight. But all of our jaws were still on the floor. Got it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You just described something that is so high on my bucket list. Cannot wait to see one of those in person. And the cadence will be going up very soon. Ryan Chandler out there in Cape Canaveral. Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more coverage of Artemis 2's historic launch. So stay right here.
Booster ignition.
Alright, that's gonna be it for the thing. Blah blah blah. Bye bye.